A very big thanks to joining us on Global Televisions, where we'll look at the more pressing political issues in the country. I don't also forget the fact that the president is still out of the country to negotiate and, of course, to bring more foreign investors in the country as far as China-Africa economic bilateral relations is concerned. Apparently, there have also been other issues in the country. The People's Democratic Party over the weekend had conducted a state congresses to elect state officials. And have been in the recent edition of the governors elected on the platform of People's Democratic Party to approach the party's national leadership to hand over the party structure in Rivers State to Governor Similayo Fubara. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has threatened to instigate crises in any state whose governor interferes with the politics of the state. There have been a lot of concerns and reactions coming from the People's Democratic Party. Of course, subsequently on the program, we'll be joined by guests who, of course, will be giving us an in-depth on what it means for former Governor Wike to threaten the other governors in the state, where he said, "I'll put fire in your state if you are supporting Governor Similayo Fubara." There are a whole lot of implications to that, his comment. What is the position of the party in this crisis? What informed him to make such comment and on what grounds? And what does the political party's constitution say about issues of this nature? We'll look at that on the program. But most very pressing in the country tonight is the fact that there are ongoing issues in the petroleum sector. Because the recent indication that the pump price of premium motor spirit known as petrol may rise in filling stations as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited finally admits that they are facing challenges due to a $6 billion debt. After weeks of denial, the NNPC admitted on Sunday that it owed its petrol suppliers the sum of $6 billion, saying it was facing financial strains due to petrol's supply costs. This was confirmed in a statement by the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Olufemi. There have been issues by the fact that what is happening to the queues we are having in the filling station. There are a lot of reactions of Nigerians. We're going to bring you to see what it means right now. If we go to many filling stations, people are saying the hardship is too much. You have to remove this subsidy on fuel. What is happening about the supply? Why are we having to buy more? Why are we still having to spend more hours in the queues before we can get a most important and essential product like petrol, which of course has also gone down throughout the economy line, where businesses, transporters, traders, and everyone are feeling the impact of some of these issues. We'll be looking very closely tonight on that issue. And of course, Dr. Wisdom will be joining us virtually. And I'll have here Professor Ibrahim Ado, Global TV political analyst and a security expert, who of course is live here in the program, to also give us some sense about what is happening to our refinery. What is happening with NNPC? Are they not truthful to Nigerians? Because this is also growing a lot of concerns among many Nigerians. Tonight on the program, these are what we'll be looking at very shortly. But for now, let's go on a break, and once we return from the break, we'll look at these issues. Please stay with us. Many thanks for still staying with us on the program, Big Talk. There are a whole lot of reactions as to what is happening within the petroleum sector. Many have said that the ongoing politics is causing a lot of hardship on the life of Nigerians, and that's the reason why we'll be looking at this, because it's one of the most essential commodity in the country, where we can't talk of anything in the country right now without the issue of petrol. Professor Ibrahim Ado, our Global TV political analyst, is live here on the program to make sense of all of this issue. Thanks so much, Prof, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, everybody.
A lot of concern, and from what all indications many Nigerians are saying, it looks that we're gonna have, to buy at more price. If we go to some filling stations right now, many Nigerians are still standing on the queue. We're gonna bring those clips to you. That are still standing on the queue. Some are saying we've spent more than 5 hours. Some say we were yesterday the morning, and many Nigerians are asking, beginning to ask questions. And now NNPC have responded that we are owing about $6 billion to the supplier. And now we are now asking, because over time there were a lot of denial. Do you feel that there is more to what we understand with what is going on within the NNPC and the suppliers?
Thank you very much. I am sure there is a lot of things that NNPC is keeping away from the people. And the more we look into them, we see the dirty linings that are lying before these sectors. If you are a supplier and you have supplied a product of $1 billion, you expect that these products are being sold by NNPC and your finances are being returned back to you. But in the case where you backrolled some of these contracts and there are interest on these monies and you are not being paid, will you go back and supply? Apart from that, we have the swap contracts, where crude oil is taken, refined, and bring a finished product to us. How far has NNPC gone with the swap contracts? These are factors that we are supposed to look into when we are discussing shortage of petroleum products. Because now, they have no excuse. No excuse because the subsidy has been totally removed. And there is no way they will not tell us there is a shortfall from somewhere, either by commission or omission. If these are what we are actually looking at, then what are the shortfall? Because a contractor supply, you sold, you distributed the same product. So where are you owing? Because if you say subsidy, that means you are waiting for money to subsidize what the contractor has supplied. But now that there is no subsidy, where did you incur this from? I think there is a need for us to start thinking of doing a forensic auditing on the books of NNPC. For a long time, we have not done this because this corporation is so large, from the downstream to the upstream to the medium stream to the productive arms of NNPC. We always don't know the records they are keeping, and we have to know. It is our duty to know. It's an obligation. It is a right of every citizen to know where these are coming from.
Because, Prof, there are a lot of increased transportation costs in terms of services, people moving from one location to the other. Many Nigerians may not understand the issues probably at the back doors of the sector. The challenge they may have about supply, logistics challenges and all of that. They just want to see where they go into filling stations and buy. We understand. Some person are saying if you are, subsidized, if you had removed subsidy from the product, we were told at the price about 6-8 naira, thereabout in NNPC station. What happens after some months? Dollar is increasing. So it also be the fact that it also reflects. But we've not had that increase. And government on their part are saying, no, we are not subsidizing. We are not admitting subsidy. So there's a contradiction right here. And it looks that there's a whole lot of pressure on the marketers. Marketers today, marketers tomorrow. Do you feel that, government has to come out very clear about this? Because the indication to the fact that it looks that there are a lot of corruptions, some unfounded claims by NNPC on what they are really transmitting, the transactions they're having with the suppliers.
The issue is this. We're talking mainly on PMS. And PMS is the engine room of everybody who is using a vehicular movement and using some little generators everywhere and there. And if you are looking at that, you now find out that a 1 metric ton of PMS is equivalent to about 1,325 liters. So if it is 1,325 liters, making 1 metric ton of PMS, then the issue is, what is the market price of 1 metric ton of PMS? And how much are we selling? So what is the value chain system? And if there is any shortfall, who is supposed to be blamed for the shortfall? Because you receive maybe 10,000 metric ton. If you receive 10,000 metric ton, did you disperse 10,000 metric ton? And if you disperse 10,000 metric ton, what is the equivalent at the end of the day? If the equivalent is 13,250,000, which is 10,000 metric ton, then we should be able to sit down and say, this is what we have sold because this is what has been dispersed. And this is the amount it runs into, and the contractor has been paid. To the people, all they want to know is the product is available because they are paying for the services. Nobody goes to a filling station and says, full my tank, I will pay later. It is full my tank,
not on credit.
Or not on credit. So they shouldn't tell us. I am not buying the idea of somebody coming here to say NNPC is indebted to suppliers to the tune of 6 billion. How? Where? How did it come about? Why such lump sum when you are the selling product of the supplier? Apart from that, the swap contract, has it been terminated? Is it expired? What have we been getting from the swap contracts? So we need explanations, and we really need them very well and urgently, so that the people will feel relaxed, because everybody is losing confidence. Not only confidence against, it's not only confidence against the management and staff of NNPC, but also on the government.
All right, before we now look at the issues of refineries, we've seen where they are now in search for some private organizations to buy the Warri refinery and the Kaduna refinery. We're going to come to that. But it now looks that it's creating a whole lot of heat on the administrations of President Bola Tinubu. Many persons are still arguing that, it was a wrong policy statement. It was a wrong move for the government to remove subsidy. Prof, are you seeing with all of these that is unveiling and the revelations coming in from the sector, it now looks that they were not on their part prepared for what probably they were taking Nigerians into? Because Nigerians are now the one many Nigerians are now the one having to, pay for a whole lot of many years of mismanagement, from the courses and the disbursement to NNPC and all of that.
You see, basically, I support the removal of subsidy. I personally support it. But the problem we have here is, was there any master plan? Was there any roadmap? Was there any policy framework to make sure we are leaving that stage of subsidy into non-subsidy? That was not done. It was a hurried trackway. And when you are in a hurried trackway, you make a lot of mistakes before you get yourself on the right footing. So we are test running, and a nation does test run. A nation must have a draft of what they want to do, and they go into it. That is one. Two, that means we were not really prepared for the subsidy removal. Secondly, a lot of people were benefiting from subsidy. And you should expect that those who have made billions, millions, and trillions from subsidy will not want the subsidy removal to see the light of the day. So they will either hijack the system or frustrate the system. So that is what we are also experiencing. Thirdly, what is the mindset of the average Nigeria on these systems? We should also look at our mindset. Mindset of lack, mindset of irregularities, mindset of failure. All these mindset, do we address them? We don't address them. Thirdly, fourthly, insecurity. Are we secured enough? I'm not talking of insecurity as banditry, kidnapping or so. In the management of our business and economic security, do anybody trained to look at it and advise accordingly? No. We have the chief's economic advisors. What do they know, or what are they doing about the economic of the nation as regards the oil and gas sector? So we have a lot of things to do, and if we do them right, okay, but are we doing them right? So these are my take on that.
A whole lot to be worried about. But let's not get to be judged by a doctor, who of course is an energy expert, joining us from Lagos to give us a more perspective to this issue, because it looks that Nigeria is running into more trouble in terms of fuel. Many are saying it looks that the fuel prices may increase from all the statement, confirming the statement of NNPC, and to the implications this may have on the economy is also what we are trying to look at tonight, because we understand the heat, the queues many people are facing right there at the filling stations all over the country. Dr. Wisdom Enang is an energy expert. Thanks so much, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Do deeply appreciate.
Doctor, what do you make out of the statement coming from NNPC? Because it looks that on one end we are bothered, on the other end we are applauding them for coming out to speak at the moment where they were, refuting the messages and the concern of many Nigerians.
Yeah, I think to be honest, you're right, because the bitter part is it is already confirming what we know, that we are in a much deeper problem that a lot of people think we are. But the sweeter part is that we at least having some form of accountability. And the question is, what is causing this fuel crisis in the first instance? There are a number of things, right? When you look at the supply side of things from the importation standpoint, you look at and see that we import fuel every 60 to 90 days in this country. And what that means is every 60 to 90 days, we need to transact. Now, because of the debt nature, that we've been running this whole transaction on, a lot of, importers, by that I mean people that own the shipments, do not want to sell to the Nigeria on credit. They either want to sell on cash or crude equivalent. So even when they come to shore and we don't have the money to give to them cash, we won't be able to upload some of those inventory and circulate it. And that's why you see a lot of tankers queue up in Apapa. And no matter how long they queue up, they will not be able to have access to products, because those guys are not willing to get their products, release their products, unless they get cash or crude equivalent. And that is the biggest problem. So this is already confirming what we already thought, what we already known for a very long time, but NNPC were always denying it. But the problem is, how do we fix it in the short, medium, and long term? Otherwise, we're in for a very long-term energy crisis in Nigeria.
Nigerians are having with the fact that it now looks that, away from the fact that there have been an increase in some of these products in some stations, apart from the NNPC where we are still buying at 618 or thereabout. Some stations are selling at high as 900, as high as 1,000, and in no way we've not seen government visiting those sites. I mean, the agency responsible in having to monitor some of these practices. We've not seen the pathway government are on their toes trying to see how they can make full implementation. Is it that government are gradually losing losing control of the marketers, the supplier, and all of those people in the value chain, because Nigerians are only bothered about the product they are going to filling stations to buy, and not all of the concern and the issues in the sector. Does it look like government are losing control of it? Because when you go to the filling station right now, the queues are there, people are doing all what they can. The black marketers are taking advantage of the situation to sell as high as 1.5 or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, you've raised a very important issue, but I like to say there are two regimes you can have, right? You can either have a price control regime where you pretty much control pricing, or you can have a liberated regime where you only control supply and supply modulates pricing. Now, so when you look at what's going on, we are supposed to be in a free market system per the Petroleum Industry Act. That means the only variable that we should be controlling is supply. The more supply, the more we can modulate pricing, because, of course, when supply is matching demand on an increasing level, we have a decreasing price and a price equilibrium. Now, where is the government failing? The government isn't failing for not controlling price, because you cannot really control price in a free market system. The government is failing for not bringing forth, domestic supplies of the refined products to be able to match up the demand in a way that creates a better price equilibrium. That's where the government is failing very badly. But as I said, before the Petroleum Industry Act, enactment into law, you could technically go to a fueling station and shut it down. But right now, you can only do that by flooding the place with supply and providing a guide price for the sales. You couldn't do price control under a free market system.
I'm still having Prof. Ibrahim. And let me get your concern about corruption. Many persons are saying there is a whole lot of corruption in that sector. Now, we can't even trust the supply and how the importation looks. That we can't really say, okay, this is how the importation has always been. This is how they are importing. This is how much is being paid and all of that. So many Nigerians are saying, can the president rather face and deal very drastically the issues of corruption in the petroleum sector, other than coming to tell Nigerians subsidy is gone, and it looks at life get worse every day?
Thank you very much. The issue here is this. You said you have removed subsidy and you have deregulated the sector. Means that if I can afford to bring in 30,000 metric ton or 10,000 metric ton or 20,000 metric ton or 50,000 metric ton of the petroleum product, I am free to bring it as far as it means the required pieces of the laboratory analysis of what is being used here as PMS. The government has no right to license anybody to bring this product. By so doing, the price of the product will fix itself. So if I'm selling at 600 naira per liter and they are comfortable with my price, good, and I go with that. If somebody else is selling at 1,000 naira and they are ready to buy from him, they buy from him. But the moment the government regulates this sector, that corruption will still remain. We are still neck deep into NNPC.
So they don't have the capacity to regulate the sector.
No, they can't regulate the sector when you are still asking them to bring in contractors. We all know that most of the contractors are commission agents. So we know. So they are commission and non-commission agents. So what we do, if you want the market to regulate itself, allow those who are capable of bringing this product to bring the product in. And let the people select who they want to buy from. It should not be a stagnant, it's not a monopoly. So the government should not believe that, oh, it's a monopoly, whatever price NNPC has decided to sell, they sell. No, it should not be a monopoly. If I have money to bring in 5,000 metric ton, let me bring my 5,000 metric ton. Let me say this is my price. What the regulatory authority is supposed to look at is this product toxic. does it meet the regulatory test? Is the test analysis okay for Nigerian corruption? I think that is just only the way out. But when you say somebody is somewhere who this product goes to and it takes part, then maybe somebody supply 50,000 metric ton and would disperse only 40 or 30 to the people.
Well, Doctor, we now really have to point out to the fact that with all of what is going on right now, and the issues of Dangote refinery that have recently also been at the forefront of all of these sector issues, would you say that all of these are the ripple effects on the Dangote refinery? Because it now looks at, on one end, Dangote was set to begin production, to begin sales and all of that. But we've seen some level of withdrawing steps from the Dangote refinery, where he has said and admitted that some people are trying to fight him, discourage him and all of that. Can you make out of the statement and the concern of NNPC, the regulators we have, and what Dangote is trying to do to solve the issues of fuel?
Yeah, the Dangote refinery whole saga was just, I like to say it's a symptom. It's a symptom of an indication that there's a fundamental issue that has to do with the way we regulate and want to sustain the petroleum business. That's the way I look at it. Because if you think about it, you see the regulator coming out to say we're having lower quality in the domestic production from Dangote refinery. That was proven to be false when the House of Reps members went visiting. We're also hearing the concerns of monopoly. But the truth of the matter is, if there are concerns of monopoly, are you going to solve that concerns by importation? Is that really the sustainable way to solve that concern? Really, that concern should be solved by trying to get more domestic volumes to be able to create a buffer effect if there's any sort of monopoly that should play out. So the Dangote refinery saga only revealed the fact that there are underlying issues in our regulatory space as it has to do with the downstream sector, and that we need to fix. And now we have also seen that those issues are more systemic. Even beyond the Dangote refinery conversation, we're seeing that it's more of a systemic issue that we're seeing. Lack of supplies, whether from an imported standpoint or from a local production, that is still the subsisting issue. And it's almost proving Dangote right that, look, this sector already has issues. And unless we begin to liberate that sector and allow it to operate in an optimal way, it's still not going to operate. Because remember, when you look at the costing strategy, the average investor producing like Dangote also has the opportunity cost concept that could guide the pricing. The opportunity cost concept is, can I possibly get someone who is, for example, in Ghana or the West African corridor where it's selling a lot higher than here, about 1,125 naira. Can I get someone from there to offtake from me? And they'll make more money. So we need to always understand that the regional market presents an opportunity for investors to come into that space, even if the Nigerian market is stifling growth and trying to squeeze out life out of that sector. I do agree with your guest in the studio that the right way would have been to start boosting supply and let supply modulate pricing. You do not, in a free market system, you cannot control pricing. That's absolutely not acceptable and also not sustainable, as we have seen from the news, the press release of the NNPC.
They should rather do, and of course, that's the essence of some of these programs and the conversation we're having. Now, Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, have also advised that, government must privatize some of these Warri refineries, Kaduna refineries, because, we've also seen where NNPC are saying that, we are open for sale, we are open for exchange and all of that. And now he has also made a statement that they should list them on the stock market. under this alleged privatization. And what can you make out of all of this? Because it looks that our refineries are not working anymore. Our Port Harcourt refinery was already promised to work a few months ago, and now they have extended. And it looks that it's something that we are going to move from one month to the other. What is a lasting solution to our refinery? Because we can't rely on importation the way it looks that this way.
Say is, yeah.
Doctor, I'm speaking to you, please, before Prof will respond.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Looking at advice of the vice president, rather list NNPC stock, on the stock market, and for us to move to privatizing some of these refineries. So one refinery is on board, the Kaduna refinery is on board. Port Harcourt refineries, you can't really tell when it will start.
In one of my discussions, yes, some time ago, I made mention of the refineries, that we don't even need $1 million to restore our refineries back. Where will you keep those who are professionals in the refineries? Are you letting them go? Are we going to look at what has happened to Ajakuta? Are we going to look at what has happened to Itakpe? Are we going to look into what has happened to Alaja? Are we going to look into what has happened to Ikotabasi? There are a long list of them. I know that tactically we are losing it because we have not been able to create an environment where industrial security and productive security has to take a place. And if we continue this way, we will mortgage all we have in this country. Mortgage it totally for some cruel businessmen to take over. And what is the future of the country if we have to go, Warri Refinery has to go to some so-called private investors, and the same people, like Kaduna Refinery has to go, and probably Port Harcourt Refinery has to go. Who are these people? What is their level of understanding of industrializing and the productive sector in this economy and this environment? What have they done? Because if they are so willing to come here and revive our refineries, they will have come also to invest in the nation. And if they are not investing here, and they are here for our commonwealth, how much confidence do we have in these people? And today they are asking for, if we want the steel industry back, whether they want it or not. I am not quoting it off record. I'm quoting it straightforward that they need $500 billion for what we sold to them for below $1 billion. So you can imagine what kind of people are these people we are calling investors, who are just coming to say they need the refinery. Why didn't they come and say they want to build a refinery in Nigeria? And let us look at their templates of development. So, and who are their collaborators in Nigeria? Because they have collaborators. And what do we gain from it? So it's the same thing. We are losing our professionals. We are frustrating our people for some people who are in power to take over. And we can't run a nation this way. I've said it here. I said, if they allow our personers to come in and said, manage the refineries, do this, this is the policy framework, bring your idea, we are not going to spend $1 million to bring these refineries back.
All right, Doctor, if you're still with us, I would love to get your concern. The fact that we've seen the Minister of State for Petroleum observing that they need to start, looking at issues of the smuggling. We've seen that we are having more. NNPC have even confirmed that we have more to sell. We have more in store. But it now looks that from what is happening at the different filling stations right now, it looks that we are running out of the product. And the concern about people that are smuggling out these products has also bring to the forefront. Now, concern about those that are doing these practices and the need to to increase the prices of the landing cost. Do you feel that we need to, NNPC needs to increase the landing cost to be able to tackle this? Because that's what the minister addressed.
You know, the thing is, you mean, do we need to increase the baseline price in the filling station? I think that's what you mean, because the landing cost is the landing cost, whatever cost it takes to buy, which covers all your expenses plus logistics. But the cost in the filling station is not what we need to increase. What they're trying to say is that because you are subsidizing, people tend to take it from the distribution end after the subsidy has been applied, and they then take it abroad and sell it where it's more expensive. But if we have a situation where the landing cost is below the cost that we are selling it at, it makes it almost at parity with the West African corridor, and people do not, are not able to find it appealing to be able to send it out there and smuggle it. Now, that is true, of course, that's normal economics. But the truth is, can the average person pay 1,500 naira per liter for fuel? That's the implication. If what you're saying is exactly the implication. And then again, remember that when the labor unions were discussing with the president about the minimum wage, they accepted the 70,000 naira minimum wage on the basis that the president would not raise the fuel price in the retail station to beyond 619. That was the agreement, if you go and read it. But if you now raise it to 1,005, labor is going to go back and ask for more money. Basically, you are printing more money, you're pushing more money in the economy, and your productivity is almost not matching the money. You're going to have more hyperinflation, and that's where I dare to say you're going to have a stagflation situation at the end of the day. So, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. Yes, the answer is yes, that would work, but you have to manage that with the physical effect of paying 1,500 naira per liter, because that's the reality. And it's that cascading effect on the ordinary and average Nigerian.
Then we are having, because it looks like in all implications and in all analysis you may probably bring up right now, it looks like you are trying to make more Nigerians be poorer to the level that they are right now, and that's the more we are trying to avoid. Government said that the issue of minimum wage raised by the president was the fact that if we pay you 70,000, we'll try to see what we can do to maintain the current price. And now having to advise, coming from the minister, that they need to revisit the issues of the landing cost. Implication is that they're going to sell it more than 600 naira. Doctor, shouldn't we rather see that more Nigerians will be drawn into untold hardship already that they already are in?
Again, right? Why
be able to manage this?
Looking at. Yeah. So basically, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? Because I'm having difficulty hearing you.
100 now. We can afford 700, but by all implications to what the minister said, increasing the fuel just because you're trying to fight smugglers will also be the fact that we'll buy at more prices. Are you not bothered about the economic situation? Should we rather be that? I understand that you are one of the supporters of subsidy removal, but in all what is actually playing right now, what is best for the country? What is best for the president?
The best way out, if I suggest, is allow people to bring in this product without any regulatory authority, apart from those who are testing this product to know that it is good for consumption in Nigeria. The price will fight itself down. It will definitely come down to the level where the people will even be excited, because we have a lot of processes to follow to get these products. It is not that as far as the crude oil price is stabilized and different countries produce this commodity, you can go to refineries and say, this is the product I need and this is my analysis that suits my nation and I want it to be brought to my country. So the landing cost is just for somebody who wants to monopolize the market. NNPC shouldn't monopolize the market. We shouldn't allow anybody to monopolize it any longer. Subsidy has been removed. The market is open. If you have the finances and you have your window, an open window, you bring in your product. Tell them this is how much you want to buy. Anybody that wants to buy from you, buy from you. I remember when we started this communication, the GSM communication, it was per minute billing, but immediately Glo stepped in. Per second billing came in, and it went around because they know that they are not going to match it up with Glo. So also this, we should remove totally. Say this is what the nation wants. Bring your product. We are going to test the product. We are going to pay all the entry, entering fees that are required by regulation. You are going to be tested. We know that the products you are bringing in are in conformity to what we expect here. That we totally bring that prices issue down, because it is not going to be something that the other neighboring countries and our countries will look at very well. And the issue of corruption will be reduced.
Many groups and protesters are hit the street due to this hardship, feeling, all of these issues in the country. They are now demanding that President Tinubu should reappoint NNPC's boss. For them, reappointing him will also probably address the issues. And then we're trying to look at who is to be blamed. I understand that we're trying to find those who probably are guilty of where the country is right now. The oil sector has been a problem over time. The president, in his bid to sanitize the system, had to remove subsidy. But what other thing can the president do? Is it something that looks beyond his power? Is changing the NNPC boss the way to go? Because these are what the protesters who hit the street earlier today are saying, Prof.
It is a normal thing in Nigeria when you say something is wrong in a sector, you remove the chief executive officer. If you remove the group chief executive officer of NNPC, you put in somebody else, has that stopped the sharp practices? Does he have a board? Does he have management staffs? Does he have administrators? So if these people are still in the office, it's like just saying that your house is on fire and you remove yourself and my children, your children and your wife can go to hell. That is what we have been doing. We remove the chief executive. And the managers, administrators, the accountants and everything who were involved in all these sharp practices are still there. And when they are there, what do you expect? It's the same file-in system. I know when one minister, I don't want to call name, was appointed as a minister, and all he does, he went to bring all the files of the minutes of the past minister. So it is just accelerate, quick action, and action. That is what the other minister was minuting, and that is what he started minuting, because that is all he knows about administration. And so if we are calling for the head, are we calling for the tail? Are we calling for the leg? Are we calling for the hands? Are we calling for the mouth? So if you want a total reviving, then you should bring every collective sector into it. Under NNPC, we have the NPDC, we have PPMC, we have medium and downstream regulatory authority, we have upstream regulatory authority, and all those peripheral. So we have the refineries and the rest. So you cannot remove only one person and think that you have one change agenda. There is no change agenda that is going to succeed under that.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Wisdom, if you're still with us, I'll love you in a bit to wrap up on the program on your concern moving forward right now, because it now looks that the president probably may be finding it somehow difficult to handle the situation. Many Nigerians have said that he hurts to understand the implications of removing subsidy. And now that he looks that he has retreated over time in his comments, in his speeches and all of that, that this is the way to go. So we must see how we can sanitize the system. What's a concern about people calling that the NNPC boss should be removed or should be changed? To them, probably it probably may be a way to sanitize the system. Or is there more to what we may not understand, that even changing to a new chairman or a new CEO, we might be able to, just as Prof has stated, continue to be faced with these challenges?
I mean, to me, I think we need clarity in our implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act. And rather than, I believe we should build governance around institutions and not people. I'll give you context. We say subsidy is out, but subsidy is out in the sense that we're not paying subsidy to a number of organizations who are importing. Rather, it is paid to the NNPC to be able to defray that cost differential between the landing cost and the cost at the retail pump. That means the subsidy is not out; it's actually there, and subsidy is not out; it's actually in on a much bigger level because it's coming in as a weaker naira. Subsidy is out on a lighter naira, on a much better naira, and coming in on a weaker naira, and so subsidy is back in. Only that this subsidy is not being paid to multiple organizations that can falsify the subsidy slips. It is being paid to NNPC as the sole, importer of last resort when it comes to PMS. Now, what I want is, let's just fix the system. We need to fix the supply side, and then once we fix our supply side, we'll have enough to modulate the pricing, and then we can then begin to be able to say whether we are actually having subsidy or not. Before now, we used to think subsidy went metamorphosed into a price cap, but now we know that subsidy just metamorphosed into a more complex subsidy that is paid out in bigger amounts in terms of naira, but to one entity, NNPC, instead of multiple entities. So subsidy just simply metamorphosed, but it was never out. It's actually still in, but on a bigger magnitude.
All right, so thanks so much, Dr. Wisdom Enang is an energy expert and public affairs analyst. Thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you. Deeply appreciate it. Enjoy your evening.
All right. And Prof, as a bit to wrap up, it looks that it's an organized crime because some persons are saying are not satisfied with what we are getting, and to some persons, many Nigerians are the one having to, because a lot of the marketers are probably people who are the high class. It's not a normal Nigerian who is a marketer. It's not a trading product that any common person is having grounds to also buy and sell. So it looks that it's also a time to call on the leaders and all those involved, the marketers, the supplier, and everybody in the value chain to understand that many Nigerians are clamoring that the concern about fuel is more to us, and they should be able to prioritize this from the government part. Is that your concern right now?
My concern mainly is One, somebody has supplied and it has handed over to you. And it's not a product you are keeping in your house. It's a product you are selling. So after selling, why haven't you paid the person? There is no businessman who will go to a bank and maybe, even if it is not a bank.
But they have been having these transactions. They have been sometimes selling and paying me and all of that. It has been a practice over time. Why trying to hold the situation right now? That's what other people are saying.
Well, $6 billion is not a child play. $6 billion means a lot to any businessman. Any businessman. Well, how much are we owing that we are devaluing our currency every day? If you ask yourself, how much is Nigeria as a whole owing that we devalue our currency every day? So if you are owing your banks, and the banks are on you, will you be able to go back to the bank and say, I want a facility to supply again? No bank will do that, because the first one they have given to you has not been paid. And even if it is your own personal finances, how do you run? If you even have a refinery that is bringing this product to you, do you pay the staff? Do you pay your overhead? So it is a serious thing. But to me, we need to go back to the drawing board and map out strategies, that those strategies will suit the people, the sector, the management, and the administrators. Because sometimes we don't separate administrators from managers. We just take administrators as managers and everything. That is not correct. We should be able to separate administrators from managers, so that these people can be held accountable. The staffs are there. Some of the staff has not been trained. They are doing as the Nigerian normal practice. They are not trained. They are not retrained. They don't know even the present trend. Modernity has gone. They are not aligned with the present realities of things. This is science, and NNPC is science and engineering, technology and engineering, where you need evaluation, monitoring, and implementation. Who are in charge of this evaluation? Who is evaluating NNPC? Who are monitoring? So we need to do a forensic auditing. We have to audit even the oil wells, because nobody can come from NNPC today and tell me this is the production of our production of every day. Nobody. So we have a lot of work to do. So
thanks so much, Prof. Thanks so much, Prof. Because of time, there have been a whole lot of concern, and the NNPC has given various reasons for the lingering fuel crisis, including the bad weather, the inability of vessels to discharge, among others. But none of these measures it has taken has stopped the queues at the filling station. Just yesterday, that the company had to make the U-turn in admitting that it was facing a financial constraint. But to many Nigerians, are asking, where is our refineries? What is happening in the sector? Our life is getting more harder due to this policy. Give us fuel. That is what they are actually, many of them protested earlier today. And it looks that the president is also put on the box to look urgently into the petroleum sector in addressing all of these for many Nigerians. Thanks so much to our guest, Dr. Wisdomena, who had connected virtually on the program, and Professor Ibrahim Ado. Thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And that's where we'll wrap it up tonight on the program. Looking forward again, where we'll look at other issues. And of course, the People's Democratic Party is still on the hit this time. Former governor of Rivers State and now the minister of FCT have threatened governors, do not in any way interfere in what is happening in Rivers State. Look at it your state. If not, I'm going to visit your state and cast fire. We'll look at the meaning of that statement tomorrow on the program. Do tune in tomorrow. My name is Edika Michael, and God bless Nigeria.